Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of Mechanized Bestiary, where I talk about the various NPC you could face in a Lancer campaign. Anyway, let's start this show right off with Rainmaker. Rainmaker is basically a walking MLRS platform with enough missiles and rockets loaded to rival the budget of a small nation, or two. Rainmaker has missiles for every occasion: small target, big target, fast target, tough target, or just plain target. Cover is still useful, but not as much, and for your own sake, if you do get locked on, prepare for a massacre. Solution: well, Rainmaker doesn't have any defensive feature, so just shoot it dead fast. It will outrange you most of the time, so you will still take damage no matter what. But if you have any amount of armor, you will find Rainmaker to be tickling, unless it's packing the big one. To Game Master, Rainmaker is a multi-targeting artillery NPC that's going to be hell on players that schemed on armor, and can lock down quite a bit of mobility with its rockets. No matter what you pick for optional systems, just park the Rainmaker somewhere and fire until it's dead. Next up, Ronin. Ronin is what happened when someone decided to bring back chivalry or bushido while everyone else is using guns, and then it works anyway because anime. Ronin is a fearsome melee striker, not as fearsome as Berserker thankfully, but unfortunately they can also reflect ranged attack right back at the attacker, full damage. Doesn't matter if it's physically impossible, the blade will cut through the impossibility. That doesn't always work, but it will work enough time that you will respect it. The solution is unfortunately that you have to beat Ronin in their own game, or use a whole bunch of tech attacks due to their weak E-defense, or use damage-causing systems to bypass the whole reaction mechanic. There's also the 200 IQ play of grappling them and then shooting them in their face. To Game Master, Ronin is a pure melee-only striker that you should use sparsely if your players like to use guns a lot. That's because Ronin is incredibly strong against ranged attackers due to its ability to reflect bullets, and the psychological effect of potentially getting hit by your own attack. It will definitely give your players quite a challenge, but do keep their number low. It would make for a more memorable scene anyway. Third in this episode, Scourer. Scourer is a high-powered mech that likes to use energy beams to melt whatever it's targeting into molten slag. Scourer is good at one thing: focus fire on a single target, and no matter what defense that target is packing, it will melt down under its beam very fast. The same couldn't be said for them however, as energy weapons won't be as effective on them. Solution: well, it is a striker NPC, so just stand at long range and take potshots at it. You don't want to get too close to it anyway because you might find yourself getting jammed. But if you can, make sure it never stop moving, and it will quickly overheat. Oh, and be careful when you deploy, well, anything close to it. To Game Master, Scourer is an energy-based ranged striker that can do extremely well if it can hit the same target twice in quick succession, keyword, if. Provided with a support unit so it could do so repeatedly, and this would become another puzzle for the players to solve. Next in the list, Scout. Scout is your pal if you need something to stay very, very visible. Scout's primary weapon is a gun that locks on people but deals no damage. That lock-on makes the target so visible that they cannot hide, be invisible, and have every weak point in their armor pointed out. That's already very powerful,
but wait! There's more!
As long as the lock-on stays on, the effects will continue, and when enemy shoots at you, they don't necessarily need to consume the lock-on. And lock-on lasts forever until you get rid of it somehow, maybe by stabilizing. Are you seeing where this is going? As if that wasn't enough, Scout can see through every disguise, turn nearby allies invisible, and call down a fucking orbital strike. Solution: just kill it as fast as you can if you value your life. Thankfully, it's very weak, but you might have to fight tooth and nail because everyone on the enemy side will no doubt be protecting them. And they have rather high evasion and E-defense as well as being able to turn invisible, so get some reliable for good measures. To Game Master, if you have really big problems dealing with invisible players, you know what to do. It's also good for dealing with tough player mechs, but I'm pretty sure most Game Masters are looking for a solution to that. And finally, Cedar. Cedar have one job: lay down mines everywhere, and I do mean everywhere. Cedar basically lives and dies by the mines they lay down, and they have an enormous variety of mines to make your life miserable. Their existence alone basically forces you to find alternative path, or be really careful on where you stand. Even then, they could just knock you right onto a mine with its gun. Solution: get rid of them as quick as you can to minimize the trouble they could make. Cedar do have some armor and low evasion, so pack something to deal with that. If you can't, well, avoid the mine as best as you can, or yoink some foes and go Iskander on their ass. To Game Master, Cedar is a controller that can be very dangerous on maps with choke points, forcing the players to pick an alternative path or deal with an invisible threat head on. On maps without, make some, or knock the players around and see what's beneath the ground. Anyway, that's another 5 NPC done, so, I will see you all next time. Oh hey, you're back.
What the fuck?
Also check out Mockshake Artworks, who I commissioned to make my current brand new avatar. Look at those fucking teeth. Link to their website in the description.